Ukraine has been locked in a crisis with Russia since Russian troops moved into the Crimean Peninsula in February. Russia's takeover of Crimea and the rise of a violent pro-Russian separatist movement in eastern Ukraine have revealed a Ukraine divided.
Some Ukrainians want to align with Russia, while others believe the country should move closer to the European Union. VOA correspondent Brian Padden went to Ukraine as the tensions in the east were brewing, and I asked him about the situation on the ground when he first arrived, compared to what he expected he'd see. Take a look.
I had vague expectations of what I would find. I knew there was protests going on. I didn't know what the level of conflict or violence was at this point. I arrived in mid to late April. And when I arrived, it was not dangerous. And so it was a very normal type of protest situation, I would say.
Right, but then how did that change over the course of the time you were there?
And every day, it changed a little bit. The next day, there would separatists started started creating checkpoints outside of the city and in other cities. And then the next day, they took a journalist hostage out in Slavyansk. And then the OSCE, they were taken hostages in that same town. And the Ukrainian military started moving in, and this escalated the danger and escalated the tension.
In the city of Gorlivka, armed militia behind makeshift barricades maintained control of the police station. The group's spokesman declined VOA's request for an interview, saying they see no benefit in talking to the media at this time. In the city of Mariupol, Ukrainian forces reported no casualties after clearing the city hall of pro-Russian protesters who had occupied it for more than a week.
How is this affecting your everyday average Ukrainian?
It is affecting them more every day. Early on, the protests were centered around specific occupied buildings. And outside of those occupied buildings, across the street, down the block, restaurants were open, normal life was going on, offices were operating, banks were operating. But little by little, that is changing. Some banks have closed. They're concerned now because the police have been overtaken by the separatists. There's less police on the street. Crime is up in some of these areas. There is concern now with the Ukrainian military moving in. So there has been more violence, and people can't move as easily in and out of the city. So it is disrupting more every day.
In one of your reports, you included a person who you identified as not wanting to have his last name revealed. Why is that?
Some people don't want to have their last names revealed because they, in their minds, hold viewpoints that could get them in trouble either with authorities or with the separatists.
So you saw that among a number of people that you talked to?
And even amongst some of the separatists, they did not want to be interviewed. When we were surrounded at one point in front of this occupied building and we were getting fingers poked in our chest and we were being called propagandists and fascists, they were telling us not to take their picture because they don't want authorities in Kiev to come and arrest them.
As a journalist, how do you make sense of a situation like that when you have two sides, very strongly against each other, and then they're also against you?
That last part is the hard part. When they're against each other, and it was something I was trying to tell the separatists as they were yelling at me and shouting me down, is that VOA would like to represent your point of view in this report. It's a legitimate point of view. You've got hundreds of people out here.
How likely is it that we're going to see this end anytime soon?
I don't know. I don't know. If you're an optimist, you see elements. There are elements for peaceful resolution. The military has purposely, I think to a certain degree, stalled its offensive in the east to avoid civilian casualties, to see if there's some sort of negotiation could take place to kind of prevent this from ending in civil war. Russia has backed off a little bit in its public comment, but there is a consensus in the country that there should be some limited autonomy for different regions in the country, and that could help diffuse the situation. That's the optimistic view. The pessimistic view is that the divide now is so stark and so strong that this will not end without some sort of military confrontation.
And again, that was VOA's Brian Padden. Our thanks, as always, to him and video journalist Arash Arabasadi, who traveled with Brian to Ukraine. And of course, everyone can check out our program page on voanews.com to watch the interview we did with Arash last week.